I want to pull this story from the New York Post. White House, big tech colluded to censor misinformation. Lawsuit.
Good.
Yeah, New York Post, you can just show the emails that came out showing that they literally did it. This is crazy
Who's
stuff.
filing the lawsuit?
A bunch of people. I think it's Gateway Pundits involved. The state of Missouri is involved. I think that's the lawsuit where this is coming from.
This I just had Jen and Eunice on my show, and it hasn't even come out yet. But I'm going to look up her association because she is co-plaintiff with 2 attorneys generals on this. Cool. And this discovery is more like, we knew this was happening because the White House was actually saying it from the podium, and
right.
Biden was saying Facebook is literally killing people. So this is not actually news, except they now have documentation that there was a ongoing coordination process where the government was dictating to tech companies what they were allowed to say and what they were demanded to take off.
And it's now time to sue Facebook into oblivion. Anyone. So you need to look at the emails and look at the stories. Anytime Joe Biden has referenced COVID policies, I think anybody who tried sharing anything related to that should join a class action lawsuit against Facebook and the U.S. government for collusion, violation of First Amendment rights, because the government was actively suppressing that information with the assistance of Facebook. And you should now all have standing. Large class action. That would be fantastic.
I'd be involved in that. I remember posting in 2020 about some COVID stuff, about some documents, and after that, totally blacklisted.
Yeah,
and there no notice that it happened. I just started getting 3 likes per post after that, and now I'm sure my page is in some kind of
YouTube
blacklist.
took down 500,000, probably more than that, videos that had to do with COVID stuff, and then changed their policy and didn't put the videos back up. There is an obvious censorship element to this that they are not willing to answer for.
Okay, so here's, I just want to fill in the blank there. The Jen and Eunice, who's with the New Civil Liberties Alliance, and they are representing Jay Bhattacharya, the one of the signers of the Great Barrington Declaration, Martin Kulldorff, a couple other guys, and they have joined the Louisiana, Missouri Attorneys General on this. And I think it goes to the Supreme Court.
Louisiana?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I thought it was Missouri. Is it Missouri?
2. Missouri and Louisiana.
Yeah. Wow. Yep.
And
this is going to be big.
I think it's a big deal. And God help us, we need to save the First Amendment. I still think that matters.
I agree.
Is that crazy?
I don't know.
No, we need to evolve the First Amendment because we're creating a global government right now. And I think free software code is the future of free speech. If you can see what the code is doing, then that's like your sense of personal freedom in the environment. If you go to the metaverse and you can't see what the code is doing around you, it could be telling you lies and you wouldn't know it.
Well, so could a human.
It's okay for humans to lie. But for a software code, for an environment to lie to you, I think is when it's gone too far.
What does that mean?
Like if there's blatant lie propaganda, like if there's signs around you that are telling you something happened when it didn't. Yeah, that's the metaverse I'm talking about. When you're in VR, when you're in
But that's just an image posted by a person.
What's the difference is, I guess,
between what and what?
An image posted by a person and a person saying the words.
If someone creates an environment that they post false advertising or they post, false statement in political ads, it's created by a person, even if it is a sign that's physically appearing or virtually appearing.
If I saw a sign that said turn right to the next Burger King, but to you the sign said turn left to the next Burger King, but neither of us know that we're getting fed different information, that's like a violation of my First Amendment. That's a violation of a human right, in my opinion. People need to know if they're being led towards something.
But you said it's okay if humans lie. Why is that?
Technically, you could lie to me.
If you have an algorithm that's decided you should go to Wendy's and you should go to Burger King and it's automatically doing it, we should know that machines are doing that to us. When people don't realize, Facebook experimented on people. Do you guys know this?
Yeah.
They made people depressed on purpose to see what would happen. That's psychotic. We should have a right guarantee that they can't do that. There should be, I think we should abolish algorithmic feeds. It should be chronological and your followers. So if you follow something, you get shown it. It shouldn't be like we've decided what's right for you. Because Facebook actually started showing people content that would depress them to see if it would work, and it did.
Sure did.
They started then producing depressing content. It's creepy stuff.
It's like 2014, I think they were doing that.
What are they doing now?
Oh yeah, exactly. Mark Zuckerberg I think he's big time into psychology. That's a big part of what this is for him, is a psychology experiment. I mean, he said that pretty openly, that he loves experimenting on the human psychology. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Mark, but you've alluded to that fact. I think he was in college for psychology at the time that he was building Facebook. Yeah, I agree, man. It's a new world and we got to take it by the horns. If we don't, it's going to gore us.
Do you guys think that technology, this kind of social media technology that is doing all this stuff, is this generally been a good thing, or is this what's creating all of this chaos?
It's the chaos.
It's neutral, but people are using it to create massive chaos.
I think,
under the guise of American law, like property, IP law. You can't just own a world,
Technology is neutral, but it's basically like, crystal meth. If you just start mass producing it and giving it out to people, and it's like, imagine if companies came out, they started giving out free crystal meth to everybody. In order to have a job, you had to have it. It's like you're going to come and work, but you're on meth, right? And that would be insane. We can see the problem with that drug addiction. But what social media is exactly that. So when you have a group of people that don't really have the cognitive faculties to lead, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to everybody, but some people are really dumb, and some people you can be disrespectful to if they know they're manipulating. But you have people who are just blindly marching in lockstep with this gutter garbage, algorithmically fed nonsense. You have to have it. They're creating a world of chaos and nonsense, and that's what the modern left is. I don't view it as a political movement, sort of. I've talked about this. It's a chaotic, destructive force. It's like a fire. That's all it is. It's like fire. You have the left and the right, the traditional left and right in this country. And that's why, as I mentioned the other day, if I sat down with Ben Shapiro, we're going to disagree on your traditional left and right disagreements. And then we're going to shake hands and be like, America's great. But then you have this left, this quote unquote left, which is just a fire that burns. There's no reasoning with it. You could go up to it and you can say, here's a video of Joe Biden admitting to a quid pro quo, and they'll smack it out of your hand and be like, fascist, 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 and just start screaming because it's fire. There's no rhyme or reason. A leaderless mob blindly marching in lockstep on social media, and that's what you end up with.
But this is nothing new. In the entirety of human history has crazy mobs doing the most inhumane things, mass murder stuff.
But it's amplified. It's addictive. Like we've always had crazy people, but we haven't always had systems that incentivize you to post inflammatory things. Instagram, right? Young girls are getting depressed because they're not getting enough Instagram likes. Now they're doing Photoshops and filters on their apps. Now women are getting plastic surgery to look like the filters. Like this is derangement.
There's a family that's suing Instagram because their daughter started using it at a young age, like 13 or something, and developed really serious anorexia and anxiety, and they believe that it's directly correlated to her addiction to social media.
Well, these CEOs don't give their kids phones.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else does. And it's like the dude selling the drugs knows not to let their kids have it, but the families are told to do it. It's the right thing.
Yeah, it's like addictive printing press fire drug.
We can go back to Web 2.0, get rid of all these weird algorithmic manipulations, and just go back to reverse chronological. That'd be fantastic. Yeah. If you follow them, you follow them. Otherwise, the posts just come in reverse chronological order.
I hear the web is headed towards 3.0, and it's freaking out humanists.
Well, we're in 3.0.
3.0 is like the perma web, where everything is on Arweave or some other permanent state where it's always there. And that's
you're talking about 4.0.
Geez, I don't even know what to call this stuff anymore. I'll explain it.
Web 1.0 was like CompuServe and AOL chat rooms, really basic stuff, garbage websites. Web 2.0 was when we got social media websites, accounts were popping up, eBay and things like that. You could then do transactions online through websites. And then Web 3.0 was the app network. Now you're online through an app that you can't navigate away from except the app itself.
And then the app can shut you off.
Things like that.
That's why they're afraid of Web 3.
So when it first started, you had crazy websites and IPs, and you'd see like, a GIF of Macho Man doing the peanut butter jelly dance or whatever, and hamster dance and things like that. Then we got Web 2.0, which was like YouTube and MySpace, but they're still desktop websites. Now you have Web 3.0, where you don't actually type it in anymore. You have just apps, and you press it, and you're logged in automatically, and you interact with them, and they're heavily regulated. The internet used to be fun. It's the Wild West. Web 3.0 is awful. It's robotic. It's mundane. Blech. And then Web 4.0 is, I don't know what they're expecting that to be like. I don't know.
It's the Matrix. We're going to go straight
Metaverse.
to the
Neuralink.
Okay, what about blockchain as the alternative to this? And there's some experiments.
Well,
with this.
what does that mean?
It means that we could go back to the fun internet, and we could go back to the unregulated. And
You can just make it.
yeah.
There's no appetite for it. People aren't doing it. There's nothing stopping you from making, bringing back an AOL server with Messenger and chat rooms. People don't do it.
Well, if we look at what the FBI has been doing, there are things that can try and stop that from happening, unfortunately. Like they stopped Facebook from letting things happen on their website. So before, there wasn't a lot of government overreach that we knew about in the late 90s, 96, 97, when people were typing on AOL chat rooms. Logs weren't being stored. I don't know if they still have those AOL chat logs from 30, 20 years ago, if they want them. But the technocratic state's been in high alert for the last 20 years and really building up a way to spy. The PRISM network where they're allowed, I think legally even now, to spy.
X-key score.
Yeah, it's not right.
Well, we publish all of our stuff on Odyssey in the anticipation of YouTube finally deciding that our stuff isn't allowed anymore. And we're not going to be first. We're not Alex Jones. We tell beautiful stories, and I don't expect to be the first to get banned from anything. But
what they want to do is they want to turn the internet back into TV. They want to.
That's exactly what they want to do.
What the big tech guys and the government have been trying to do is, when there was Web 1.0, subcultures started flourishing. With Web 2.0, they started solidifying and building economics around themselves. Then they realized, hey, wait a minute, these people actually got Trump elected. They were memeing him into power by making jokes, and people were sharing them. It was meme magic. And they said, we have to stop that. So now the goal is approved narratives only on all of these big platforms, and that's it. They started banning conspiracies and all the fun content. Man, it was a good day, back in 2010.
I'm super concerned
when you could watch flat Earth videos and they'd be on the front page of YouTube, and you'd be like, "Oh, that's so dumb and silly." And now it's like you go to the front page and you got Mr. Beast and you got CNN.
But this is the whack-a-mole that I'm talking about. Is like every time people get new tools to be more liberated and think for themselves, they come in with a new scheme, more aggressive, more authoritarian every time they do it, to try to shut it down, and then something else emerges. And I think that there is a technological solution, because I don't want to live in the matrix, and I don't think most people do.
What concerns me about the whack-a-mole thing, because you're right, when people are whacked down, the consciousness will rise up somewhere else, and it'll keep happening, and they keep trying to stop it. But if you don't know you're being whacked, if you think everything's going out normal, but it's being tweaked somewhere between you and the listener because of secret algorithms, then there might not be an uprising because you don't even know you're being manipulated. That's what I'm concerned with and I want to avoid.
Well, you can see trends like young people make fun of people that are on Facebook now. That's what grandpa does. And they've migrated, and they're curating their own content. They're watching shows like this. They're binge watching things on Netflix, and
they're all on YouTube.
None of these platforms are completely free, but they're more free than the sort of manipulation on Facebook. I remember when we started Free the People, we thought that young people had short attention spans. But it turns out that Facebook manipulates you into not paying attention for very long. Yeah. So what happened? People that didn't like that, they migrated to YouTube and other places. I think that, I believe in the wisdom of crowds. I believe that people figured this stuff out, and I think that the revolution is going to be those people choosing for themselves.
I think the strange thing about the internet is that it was so disruptive, and by regulating the internet, you can really regulate basically every part of human life. I've never had a job that didn't in some way involve the internet, which is sort of crazy. There are generations that was not true for. Even people who worked in Congress, who wrote bills, like they, before the rise of the internet, there were other ways of operating, and now I can't imagine life without it.
Not just that, even if you work at a fast food restaurant these days, you have apps to order food, so you're getting the internet coming.
And to schedule what shift you're working, everything is done through the internet. So if you mean that, if you have to comply by the internet, aka the government's rules, then every part of your life has to comply.
Yep. So we had Robert Davi on the other night. He was telling us a really interesting story in the after show about, I think he told us in the main show, maybe it was the after show, how he ended up getting into, no, I think it was the after show, how he got into acting. And he said that you'd have to call a number on a payphone that would have your messages stored for you. So it's like he wakes in the morning, he runs down to a payphone, he puts the coins in, and then he dials the number, and he gives his information, and then it reads him his messages, and he finds out he gets the part. That's crazy days. I remember when I was a kid. I'm 36. You go to your friend's house, knock on the door. He's not here. Do you know where he went? I don't. Guess I'm not going to see him today.
Yeah.
That was life, man.
Before internet banking. I know you remember. Did you ever have the
before debit cards?
Yeah, before debit cards, you had a check. You'd go to to Drug Mart and you'd be like, "Here's a check for $17." It would take 3 days to clear. Then you'd have to go to the bank and you talk to the cashier,
float checks.
write her a check, and then she would give you cash. Then internet banking appeared, and it's so convenient. I can click a couple buttons and you get the money. It's amazing. How could I ever want to turn back from that? Except that now they have the power to click a button and turn it all off.
Yep.
Maybe they kind of did before,
Or
but
say
not
you
nearly as
can't
much.
send money to certain people, or you can't use this service because we don't believe in your ideology.
Have y'all watched Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah.
What was that guy's name? The con man? What was it? You don't remember his name?
The real name?
Yeah.
Not Leo.
Well, no, Leo's the actor, but his character's his name. I'm sure people in the chat will give us his name. But you look at how easy it was to con people back then. Like, he made fake checks. Like, it actually wasn't that difficult for him to do.
Yeah.
He just lied and they would do it. Reminds me of that movie with Ricky Gervais, The Invention of Lying. You ever seen that one?
Yeah.
Where he goes into the bank and he's like, he needs money, and then all of a sudden, nobody can lie in this world, and then all of a sudden his brain just snaps and he goes, I have $800. And she goes, it doesn't say that. We must have made a mistake. Here you go. And then she gives him the money. That's what it felt like watching Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, the character is Frank Abagnale Jr.?
Yes, Frank Abagnale Jr. Yeah, and he was like, he took, in the movie what they show is, it's probably apocryphal, it's probably a movie, but he bought little toys with the Pan Am logo, and then he soaked them and then peeled the sticker off and put it on the check to make it look official. Man, these days, everything's, so much more secure. But I will say, I think it's funny that we're all old people talking about, when I was a kid, we had phones on the wall. And but the reality is, the real purpose of this is, in walking away from landlines, the more we move into this digital space, the less control we have. To the point where this is the craziest thing. You don't even own your shows anymore. You don't own, it's like you will own nothing and you will be happy. I hope everybody listening realizes that the agenda of the World Economic Forum has been underway for a very, very long time.
It's not new.
How many songs do you own? You don't. You don't even own your phone. The software on it is licensed to you. And at any moment, Apple or Google can brick your phone. They can shut it off like that if they want to. I remember 10 years ago, Apple filed a patent to create geofencing, that if your phone went into a certain area that they deemed to be fenced off, your camera would not turn on. That's the world or you can buy a camera and walk around with it. They can't control it, a Polaroid or something like that. I saw a funny tweet where some guy said, the future is inconvenient. I was flying on a plane and my book ran out of batteries. It's like, yeah, that's the future, for convenience, and we end up losing control.
One of the most jarring things is when I used to have all these CDs. I have like 500, 400 CDs or something. I'd move around from place to place every year and carry this big giant Tupperware tub of CDs, and then all of a sudden it was digitized and people didn't own their music anymore. And I'm like, I still haven't done it. I won't do it. I still have my CDs. They're at my parents' house right now. I have them all backed up on multiple hard drives because that's music I bought, music I own, as far as I'm concerned. I was never told that I didn't own the CD and everything on it when I bought it, so I own that.
Here's the best part. This happened to a lot of people. They got banned from Facebook. Oh, so what? People get banned from Facebook, right? The only problem is they were using Facebook login. Now, all of a sudden, they can't log into any of the other apps they had synced with, and some of them are financial.
Yep.
Now, that's crazy.
Well, I've known people who, use Facebook personally and upload pictures of, whatever, their kids, their life's going on. And when Facebook blocks them and deletes their account, they lose all of that. So I've known people to lose videos of like their kid's first step because they put it on Facebook so grandma in a different state could see it, and it's gone and Facebook won't give it to you. When I'm on Pop Culture Crisis, we talk about how important it is to go to flea markets and tag sales and collect VHSs because you won't be able to edit out the content and then you'll always have it. Unfortunately, VHSs are not like super stable. I think CDs probably hold up against weather and heat and stuff like that a little bit better. But there is, I think, an interesting crossroads where people are going to have to say, like, if it's really important to me, I should actually get a physical copy that cannot be virtually deleted.
Trump should have banned TikTok. Should have absolutely banned TikTok.
How I kind of agree with you. I don't know if banning is the way.
Yep.
But how would that have worked out if he had?
I think it was temporarily restricted, wasn't it?
It was, I think, under some conditions. I mean, there are a lot of reports coming out right now, and I don't want to be too alarmist about it, but in different states, they're getting back their like learning standards from last year. They evaluated kids, and so many kids are behind intentional
the
benchmarks.
lockdowns.
And I think a lot of that is because lockdowns were bad, but also we didn't intervene on the parts of the internet that we should have. And I don't actually like intervention, so it's hard for me to say that. But
the TikTok thing is that China is controlling what our kids are seeing, and they're banning shows like us. We got banned for no reason. They just nuked us off the platform. And it's obvious. They want kids to see their moral ideology, so they'll grow up and they'll not agree with this. That's their plan. They want your kids. So conservatives have to win on the education front and on that front. And Trump banning it would have been a seriously bad day for the woke cultists.
And from what I've understood and read about the algorithm for TikTok, they actually changed the algorithm based on what country they're in. So kids in China are not served the same content that TikTok users who are under the age of 18 in America are. You know, you might get more engineering content served to you if you're a teenager in China than you would in America.
Right.
And that is...
In America, it's woke garbage. In China, they don't allow it. So someone chatted that kids aren't watching YouTube, they're watching TikTok. Actually, there were several studies and some polls done and found that YouTube is the most popular video platform for all ages. But TikTok is very, very prominent among kids. So if they're at school, they're probably on,
And there's an ecosystem, right? So if you have a creator who's popular on TikTok, they probably also have a YouTube channel and an Instagram, and you're floating between sort of.
But they're
all
not
parts of
going
that.
on YouTube until they get home. They're on TikTok when they're on their phone. But TikTok is creepy. Chinese controlled data being sent to them.
There's a new style of entertainment on TikTok where it's like they'll say a thing and then there's a cut, and then they'll say another thing and then there's a cut, and then they'll say a third thing and then there's a cut, and it's like those disjointed 3-second statements edited all together as if it's to be one sentence, as opposed to like just a 10 or a 30-second statement.
Oh, bro, here's the best thing. So some YouTubers figured out that typos result in higher engagement. Because when you have a typo in your title, people click it and then correct you. So they started intentionally putting typos in the headlines. Children then started spelling the words wrong because on YouTube they were spelled wrong, and that's what they were exposed to. Isn't that crazy?
It's wild.
the
It's
machine
anything
works.
to drive viewers and to keep them there, right? Like that's why TikTok's like it shows you video and you immediately scroll. In some ways, that's why YouTube adopted Shorts, I think, because they want you to be able to move quickly through a lot of content.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.